and you're still going on. Really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonitono, and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda, where we have a guest in studios. You're able to send us feedback on the topic of discussion as we go on using our various social media platforms. And I want to encourage you right now, get that platform right. If you're going to use our WhatsApp number, it will be coming up on your screen. And if you're going to use our various social media platforms, our Twitter page, we can still get that. If you're going to use the traditional SMS, we'll still get all these messages, and the guest in studios will be able to respond to that. Now today we are handling a very sensitive sector, and it is one of the fundamental human rights, that is the health sector. The right to life. And anywhere in the world, that means the health sector. Now today we are focusing on the mandate and mode of operation, that is of the State House Health Monitoring Unit. If we recall very well, about 2 weeks, the media has consistently been awash with news following the arrest of the executive director of Mulago Hospital. And this was as a result of the State House Health Monitoring Unit raising alarms, investigating, forwarding complaints to police that led to the arrest of him. And later, of course, he got police bond, but investigations are still ongoing. And of course, we know that that is not the end of it. But then many people ask, where has this unit been? Because it has been in existence since 2009, August 2009, when His Excellency, through the powers given to him by the Constitution of Uganda, following public outcry, directed the creation of this unit. And with me in studio this morning, I'm delighted to have the Executive Director of the State House Health Monitoring Unit, Dr. Warren Namara. Doctor, you're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Well, Doctor, just to begin with, let's first understand when we talk about the State House Health Monitoring Unit. We see so much that has been happening in the health sector, and many were questioning if you're to look at all regional hospitals or government facilities, people feel there is so much, that's not going on right. Where have you been? What is this unit supposed to do?
Thank you very much, but may I request that I take off the mask so that I'm audible enough?
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that COVID is gone. We still must take shots, vaccination against COVID, but we must also have social distance, and we should wear masks. That's the best way out. So I request that I take off my mask so that I'm audible enough, and then answer your question. Thank you very much. The State House Monitoring Unit was started by the President in 2009. This was as a result of a lot of public outcry, a lot of preference of stealing of drugs, poor services, delivery, patient complaints, and the President established this unit based on the mandate he has, Article 171 of the Constitution, that must be read in continuity with Article 99 of the Constitution, which gives full powers to the President. So we are a fully fledged department established by the President with his powers that is given by the Constitution, Article 171, read in continuity with Article 99, the executive powers of the President. So we have no other identity other than the identity of the President, on whom we report to. What is our mandate? Our mandate is very, very clear. When the President established this unit, he gave very clear mandate to the unit. And I don't want to go through all this, but suffice to say that we are supposed to monitor, evaluate the performance of health facilities, the delivery of services, the management of services, and management in its full meaning of management, planning, leadership, organization, monitoring and evaluation, and constant budgeting, rebudgeting, and reporting back to the exchequer. So, we report and carry out investigation in any criminal matters that relate to the health service delivery. That's in the course of our work, in the fullness of the management, as I said. We advise medical workers on their rights, their demands being met, and then we advise and guide medical workers on the effective management of storage of drugs, for example. You can imagine that we don't carry out all these without other government institutions. We work, in fact, much of the work, we work with police, we work with the judiciary, we work with the IGG office, and we work with the local government, because much of the work is not in the center here, much of the work is actually in the periphery. So, in a very summarized form, that's our mandate, but we have a lot that we do, and we depend on these institutions in order for our work to go ahead.
Well, Doctor, you've clearly stated your mandate, and we must say it is very clear there. But then this brings me to another question. With such a well spelled out mandate, very clear, why do we still see what I want to call, with the honesty, rot in the health sector? Because when we look at, for example, the recent case at the media center, you briefed us, and so much has been going on. We're happy that the health unit was able to identify some of these. But even when you go to a number of other regional hospitals, I don't think the case is any different. Still, people will tell you of missing drugs, where national medical stores will tell you we delivered. People will tell you of funny contracts, memorandums of understanding that are vague and fake. People purporting to be qualified to offer services when they are not qualified to do that, forging all sorts of certificates. Why do we still see this? Because one would say that maybe since 2009, this could have tremendously reduced. But unfortunately, it seems now most of these government facilities, health facilities, are really not delivering what they should be doing.
That's a very hard question. But I want to tell you that Rome was not built in one day. Corruption is a systemic disease, is a systemic cancer that is not curable in one day. And there is no magic bullet you are going to shoot at corruption in the health services. There is also no one-size-fits-all, and I want to assure you that since 2009, a lot of work has been done, a lot of improvement has also happened. We have looked at almost, just to mention a few things, we have a number of people locked up right now because of stealing drugs. And I don't want to go through them, but there are quite a number of them from Fort Potro, from Masindi, from Kitgum, from Soroti Referral Hospital, and Uganda. Somebody never understood the solar system of a health center. So there is a lot that we do, but there is a lot that needs to be done. Remember, my unit, and I'm not an executive director, by the way, I'm just a director. My unit is very small. I have to depend on other government institutions in order for us to be able to respond and work very well. The other institutions are also overwhelmed by their own work. So while the purpose, the interest is there to solve the problem of poor health service delivery, it's a lot of effort that has got to be done. It's a lot of attitude that has to change. There is a lot that needs to be done in the organizational psychology of these institutions How do they perceive the services? How do they perceive themselves? How do they relate to each other? What do they think when government gives them so much money? What is the interaction? What is the relationship? And let me tell you, a lot has been done, but a lot needs to be done. Our purpose is keep focused, keep going in the right direction, keep doing the right things, and hopefully there will be a change.
Doctor, when you talk of a lot has been done, a lot still has to be done. I'm afraid to mention, but I don't think the public feels that there is a lot that has been done. Maybe one would say this is just a drop in the ocean. I'll take you back. I think this unit has had 3 directors right now.
Yes.
3 so far since 2009. But we just see periodical appearances, you know, 2 years, nothing we've heard from this unit, maybe nothing tangible. This time I want to say, Doctor, I'm happy. I saw you, I saw a big fish. You know, in this country we've always said, why do we go for the little? We've seen doctors, we've seen nurses over a time for a tin, 3 tins of medicines, 4 tins of drugs. But I think there's so much that the public wants. You know, like here, when the world woke up, because now everything happens in Uganda because of technology, had Director Mulago is investigated on this and this. I mean, people's hearts, they said, okay, now we are starting the fight. So, Doctor, why do we see the little you may call much? Seemingly, sometimes we see you like it's more of periodical, there's lack of maybe consistency. And public servants are scared of, you know, in the medical fraternity, when I move around, I don't feel that fear that is lacking.
But okay, I understand what you're saying. We are not loud, and perhaps we also prefer not to be loud about some of these things, but I can assure you there's a lot that has gone. You remember the case of people injecting water? You remember the case of drugs in Nansana worth 1.5 billion? When the nets were being distributed, we recovered about maybe bales and bales of stolen mosquito nets in Jinja. Had been stolen, but we nabbed it. In Mukono, right here, they had stolen, I can't remember, mosquito nets. We got them, sent them back to the medical stores, and and then 180 cylinders in Jinja of oxygen had been stolen. We investigating that. We're about to recover it. Fort Potro, they had a problem with a plant in oxygen, which we looked at. So there is a lot that we have done, but I'm afraid we've not been going into the papers to shout about our work. And you know, doctors are not supposed to advertise.
But this is criminality. This is not
so
about...
it's criminality, but maybe we are colored by that ethics part of it. But my predecessors, the 2 directors, Dr. Diana and Dr. Ojera, they had done a good job. They had done a lot of good work, and my colleagues at the unit have also done a good job. But maybe we need to look at what we do, and maybe periodically bring this to the media.
Yes, so that we know.
So that you know. But
Yes.
I can assure you there's a lot of work that we are doing.
Well, that is something.
In fact, not every complaint is... We don't go out to find fault. Because if you go out to find fault, you'll get it. There will be a fault. There is nobody who is infallible. But we respond to, number 1, the population. Number 2, our own intelligence, which is the DISO, GISO, and district security officers. We go in and investigate. And sometimes we find it's just interpersonal problems at the hospital, and we address that without making noise in the press. Somebody hates the other, and the other hates the other, and they can't work, and then we bring them together and say, look, this is not good for the delivery of services. Yeah.
Doctor, this brings me to another question. What is your modus of operandi? How do you carry out your work? Because sometimes, even some people have said that, well, we don't know, does this unit arrest? Then we tell them, no, it doesn't arrest. It investigates, then gives information to police. And I was looking at a number of media reports, headlines, State House Health Monitoring Unit arrests doctor. And I was like, no, this unit doesn't arrest. So how do you carry out your work? How do you, for the public to better understand?
I think there's a lot of sensationalization of some of these stories. The health, the police arrests. We receive complaints. We synthesize the complaints. We do our own professional analysis of the situation. And we turn over the information to the police CID department that goes and requests the person to interact with them. Because remember, everybody is innocent until proved guilty. That is the constitutional right. So the CID invites the person to interact with them, sometimes record a statement, and if it is found necessary, they may be kept for a day or two, not exceeding 48 hours. That is mandatory for the Constitution. So we receive complaints, we analyze the complaints, we synthesize the complaints, we do the professional analysis. We ask police to get the suspect or the person involved for purposes of interaction and understanding further what we are seeing. But after that, if the person is culpable, then the judiciary takes over. Our job is professional. The police does their piece, the judiciary does their piece. And that's the way we work. We don't work, we have no mandate to arrest, but we have the mandate to look, investigate anything health services. And if there is culpability, then we ask police to take over. If it is necessary to try the case, if it is, then the judiciary takes over. The Attorney General, sorry, the DPP's office takes over.
Doctor, this also brings me to allegations where we've heard that this unit, sometimes the Uganda Medical Association, some members have accused it of being used to fight battles within the medical fraternity. Even, you remember, recently during this arrest, some people came out publicly and said it's now engaged in the battles between Ministry of Health and Mulago National Referral Hospital, and they're using the State House Health Monitoring Unit.
You know what? This goes a long way to tell you the mechanics, the whole issue of how these institutions relate at the Ministry of Health. We don't fight anybody's war, and we are not supposed to fight anybody's war. We are not designed to fight anybody's war. We are a professional body that does its work to our best of ability. And I have heard about this. You are fighting for Diana, you are fighting Diana, you are fighting Bibi, you are fighting... No, thank you. I think people must understand that from where we sit as part of the highest office in the land, we have to be above some of the petty issues. There is no way I would fight. This is not personal. This is what people should understand. It's not personal. It's a professional job that is done on professional basis without victimizing anybody. So we don't fight for anybody. No.
Just remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply going on our social media platforms, and the number is coming up on your screen, which is 0709 60 25 92. 0709 60 25 92. Please send in your question, your observation, as we discussed at Health Monitoring Unit, the mandate and mode of operation, where in the recent weeks we've seen it dominate airwaves, the print and the electronic, over operations that's happening at Mulago National Referral Hospital that led even to the arrest of the executive director of Mulago National Referral Hospital. And we were told also investigations are still going on about other 5 top officials at this hospital to restore sanity in public health. It's been around since 2009, and their mandate and role has been to clean, to cause sanity, to improve health services in this country by ensuring that people do what they're supposed to do. So keep your messages coming in. You can also use the traditional SMS, yes, on still the same number, that is 0709 60 25 92. And the head or the director of the unit is with us here. This is Dr. Warren Namara. Will be responding to your views and your opinions or questions directed towards him. Doctor, another issue that I feel we need to know. Yes, you know, the medical fraternity does a great work, and these are lifesavers. But there have always been complaints whenever we've seen a doctor, a senior health officer arrested of, you don't do the arrest. But then unfortunately, these come to your offices. Manner, behavior, we have our own body that brings us together. Then should have first gotten through the Uganda Medical Association. If there are nurses, the Uganda Nurses and Midwife Association, this unit, these are doctors, have to be treated with extreme care, extreme dignity, and the arrows come to you.
Let me tell you that doing a good job as a physician, as a surgeon, as a doctor, does not indemnify you. You can't just say, I'm a very good doctor, but I'm going to do the wrong things. No, thank you. The conduct of our profession is guided, regulated by the Uganda Medical and Dentist Association Board. That's on the professional arm. But criminality is managed differently. The Uganda Medical Association cannot manage criminality, but they can, for instance, send somebody away, discipline somebody from the professional side, and penalize them from the professional side. But when it comes to criminality, it's a different story. Then another department like ours, the judiciary, the police, have to step in. But let me also say that the Uganda Medical Association is very, very, very aware of our work. I just wanted to, I'll leave this book if necessary. This is our report for 2020-21. It's full of many areas that we've looked at and investigated, and including deaths of some of the mothers. Why did the mothers die? How did they die? There's a case, for example, a mother from Masindi or Hoima, I can't remember, I think it's from Hoima. She lost her uterus in very funny circumstances that we could not understand. We investigated that case and gave it to the Uganda Medical Dentists and Dentists Board to take over and analyze what happened. That is on the professional side, and I think they did a good job. So we work with them again. Where we think there is no criminality, but there is professional negligence, then we call in these bodies: the Uganda Medical and Dentists Board, the Nurses Practitioner Board, the Allied Services Board. They come in and assist us to understand further what we shall have observed. And that's the way things, it's a system. It's a systems approach. There are no lone rangers in this. The lone rangers are in the square, if you see what I mean. it has to be a systems approach to management of society and services. And that's why we touch base on all those.
Doctor, do you ever feel either demoralized or let down by other agencies you work with? I'll give an example. I've seen the State House Health Monitoring Unit. I remember I was following so much when Dr. Dana Twine, now the PS, Ministry of Health, was heading this unit. I've followed you closely in some of the cases, really where I feel they have touched where. And where the public will tell you the unit has done us justice. But at the end of the day, other stakeholders you're supposed to work with, we know everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty by a competent court. But at the end of the day, our generation, we call it the vibe, that energy. After a week, 3 weeks, then months, or the curve. His Excellency uses the curve during COVID-19. I don't know how all Ugandans understand the curve. Instead of increasing, slowly goes down.
It gets cool. It cools.
And we forget about it. Yet you did so much in investigating, raising these complaints. Do you ever feel that?
No. No. Some of us are sustainers. If we were to give up, I have been in the service as a practitioner, as a medical practitioner for the last 42 years. And I've met many things. I never give up. Somebody has got to do this job. If you give up, who will do it? You play your part, you leave the stage, another person plays their part. The only difference is, are you playing your part to the best of your ability or not? And for us at HMU, we play our ability, we play our part to the best of our ability. And we don't give up, we don't get demoralized. We know the wheels of justice grind very, very, very slowly. But they finally catch up with you. There are cases that people have been convicted after 5 years. There are cases that Diana started, and the case of Uganda, stealing of health center batteries and solar systems and the rest of is just coming in now. We know the wheels of justice grind slowly. It's not their fault, it's the way things work. But we've worked with them, and the DPP is very supportive, and the anti-corruption unit is very supportive. The IGG is very supportive. My colleagues at the anti-corruption of State House are very supportive. We can't give up. Period. We can't give up, and we shall get to where we want to go.
Just remind you that you can send in your messages to us, your questions, your observation on the topic of discussion today, that is the State House Health Monitoring Unit, its mandate and mode of operation. And that is the number on your screen, 0709 60 25 92. A few minutes from now, I'll be reading some of the messages that have come in, so please keep those messages coming in. We'll read them, and Doctor will be responding to a number of them. Doctor, then how does the public come into the picture? Because I'll take my wife to deliver, then I'll see this and that happening. I'll know where they are selling government drugs. They have government of Uganda scribed on them. So how do we be part of this noble cause?
Well, you can actually be part of this noble cause. We have a toll-free line where people can call in, and the people call in, and I'll get you the toll-free line as it is. The toll-free line is 0800 200 447. This is a toll-free line that any complaint can be registered, and we follow up. And this is very helpful to us, because you can imagine the whole country. You get a complaint from Arua. Somebody has stolen the ambulance. You remember that story? Somebody has stolen the ambulance. We have to respond and move very fast and investigate that case. A patient has died in Luwero. A mother died in Luwero, for example. Why did this mother die? Because some doctor demanded money for purposes of doing a cesarean section. We have to investigate such. But it's triggered by a call either from the district security officer or a bona fide resident citizen of the district, and we follow up. But we also do routine analysis and monitoring of a district. For example, this year's theme was maternal child health for us. We go in and assess the delivery services with special emphasis on maternal health. Once you do that, a number of issues that have not been done before, have not been seen before, they pop up on the surface. And we investigate further with the sole purpose not to victimize doctors or nurses or healthcare delivery personnel, but with the sole purpose of improving efficiency and addressing where they have issues. We ask them, look, what can we do? What can this be done? We work with the national medical stores. The national medical stores delivers drugs. Sometimes these drugs, as soon as they are delivered, they are stolen almost immediately. How do we get that? Somebody from the district calls and tells us. Some good citizen, and there are many out there, calls us and we investigate. And we catch up with them. We really catch up with them. There's no doubt about it. So we depend on the government system. We also depend on bona fide residents of these districts. But above all, good human beings who are interested in the healthcare delivery services call this number, and I repeat it, 0800, it's a toll-free number, 0800 200 447. They call in, we register the complaint, and we jump straight.
Well, let me read some of the messages that are coming in. We have Olese Stephen Ngora. He says, corruption in Uganda has only pinned the lower people. But if the top officials got corrupt, they just play a deal and be released. Look at COVID funds. Where did it end? Well, thank you, Stephen, for being part of the show. Then one says, why are operations in government health facilities at a cost yet doctors are paid by government? Gilbert from Arua City. Thank you, Gilbert. Now let me move to those that are from WhatsApp, but also SMSs, you can keep them coming. One says, thank you for hosting that courageous doctor. I'm Tumushabe from Kampala. My question is a bit off topic, but I really wish to know, how can someone make some judges answerable because some think they are untouchables? Thank you. Okay, good morning UBC, thank you for the program. Then thanks for the show, Mr. Robert. There's a lot of corruption, both petty and grand corruption in health sector. But how has corruption has been handled by government? Because corruption is being done openly in public hospitals. Corruption is being done through bribery, fraud, embezzlement, among others. Then we have, this is Magai Ediga, student, ICUC University. And on addition to the above, last week, the director of Mulago was arrested, but these people are just arrested for a period to please people. But after like a week, they are released without any penalty, which can scare other workers to fear to participate in corruption. Doctor, for now, let's have those.
Okay. Thank you very much for the questions. I appreciate the questions. Some of them I'm able to answer, others I'm not able to answer. Stephen from Ngora, thank you very much for calling. And on COVID funds, you are very right that COVID funds need a further analysis, but there is a body in government that is looking at the receipt, expenditure, and accountability of those funds. So I prefer not to second guess what they are doing. But thank you for that question. Gilbert from Arua, I missed his question. But let me go to Tumshabe. Tumshabe from Kampala, thank you very much, Tumshabe. Judges, I think judges have got a code of conduct that is managed by their profession. And I'm very respectful of judges. And if there is anything that is not consistent with the expectations, I'm sure they have a self-cleansing method in their system, just like doctors from a professional angle have got a self-cleansing system. Robert, about petty and grand corruption, you couldn't be far from the right thing. Corruption, whether petty, grand, gross, is a disease, is a cancerous disease that denies you and me the service, that denies a mother and a baby the service, that denies a soldier who has put his life the services. Corruption should be fought by every good human being, and corruption is not, the fight of corruption is not an event. It's a process, it's a sustained, protracted war, and we should fight it together. Edgar, I think you said there will be, this was not tokenism, and we don't do tokenism. But remember, the Constitution is paramount. Everybody is entitled to bond, to bail. The judiciary knows this better than me, plus the police. The moment we turn over a suspect, like we have done in all of them, to the judiciary, they process those suspects consistent with the Constitution. And one of the rights of people is bail plus bond. So it's not that we are keeping them for a short while as tokenism and as mediatic and then release them. No, they are entitled to that bail, they are entitled to that bond, but they will still face the law, I can assure you.
Then finally, Doctor, in relation to that, good morning, thanks for the program. I'm Augusto from Arua. I always have one concern when it comes to issues of corruption in this country. Big fish are always involved, and funnily enough, government tends to lose interest in such cases, especially the ambulance issue of Arua. Let's end with that.
From Arua, thank you very much. I think the ambulance from Arua, for instance, we haven't given up. We are still investigating it, and it is high on the agenda. But the big fish story, I think I don't agree with you. Everybody, big or small, is equal in front of the law.
Is that reality, or it is?
Once you are in front of the law, it is reality. And I think it is only fair that we allow the law to take its own course rather than interfere with it. But the big fishes, what more do you want? There are people in prison. The IGG got them. Obey, may his soul rest in peace. He was a big fish. Kazinda was a big fish. Ramafa was a big fish. They are all rotting in prison out of corruption. So the big fish story, my brother from Arua, is not quite true. Big fishes still get their day in court and perhaps get their day in prison.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Let me have your final remarks.
I just would like to thank everybody who, in many respects, have contacted the HMU for support, contacted RANG, the HMU, for support, where you see corruption in the medical services. I want to identify myself with my colleagues, the Uganda Medical Association, who have been very, very supportive and against corruption in the medical services. Dr. Buku and Dr. Redo have been very, very, very strong and against corruption, plus many others. We have one singular duty, and it is enshrined in the Hippocratic Oath: do no harm. Corruption does harm. Corruption kills a patient. Corruption denies a mother the services of a cesarean section. Corruption destroys society. I want the society that is good, and this is not political, this is not NUP or NRM or DP. No, the death does not have colors. Please ring that number, which is 0800 200 447, and we shall respond. We have the mandate. We are legally constituted. We will work with other government bodies to achieve the ultimate goal: better medical services.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Warren Namara, who is the Director, State House Health Monitoring Unit. And of course, the number is coming on your screen. It will be there for you to get in touch with this unit. Let's support, let's together condemn. Let's condemn corruption. Let's condemn these acts. No one should be proud because maybe you benefit from this. Because like you said, it kills, it endangers, and we set precedents. Today you're stealing drugs from a hospital to pay fees for your children. Tomorrow you'll be the elder person, you need these drugs. And the seed you sow, then it will catch up with you. What goes wrong at the same time returns. So let's all create that environment that you want to see generations, even when we leave these comfortable zones at times. Have a lovely day. Sports next. Good morning. Keep it on UBC TV.
Raising Voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising Voices.
Are your children ready to learn? Schools are open. As parents and guardians, it is your duty to ensure that your children go back to school. COVID-19 prevention measures have been put in place to keep students safe as they go back to school. Not only do teachers prioritize everyone's health, including their own, but they discourage violence among students. They also ensure that students follow SOPs. Any concerns are reported to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Dear parents and guardians, you too must play your role. Ensure your children always maintain a 2-meter distance from others, avoid crowded places, regularly wash their hands with soap and water, and wear a washed and clean face mask that covers their mouths and noses. Please keep your children at home if they're feeling sick, and take note. In our effort to keep students safe, there are no visitation days or any other school visits allowed. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
The first two of this season's UEFA Champions League round of 16 ties draws to conclusion this evening, with the focus here in Bavaria on Bayern Munich and Salzburg. Bayern Munich and Salzburg step out into the night air in Bavaria. It was 1-1 in Austria in the first leg almost 3 weeks ago.